So here you have the great misreading. Now, I want to acknowledge that I appreciate what was done here. And Ted, are you here somewhere? Ted Stoddard, where are you? Ted, raise your hand if you're here. He's not here, okay. Well, in 2009, Ted Stoddard published an article, and you can get this article out of the Book of Mormon Archaeological Forum, bmaf.org, and it's called From East to the West Sea. I wholeheartedly concur with that. 2 weeks ago, I made a specific point, flying over the Isthmus of Tehuantepec in the rainy season. And I want to go back to a flood that occurred in 2007. That flood flooded 80% of the state of Tabasco. And I want to just going to show you something of what that looks like, because the statement here, the misreading that most people have of that is they insert in their mind the word East Sea. And the word East Sea is not there, and it's not there twice, which says to me, yeah, that's really it. And I remember that Dan Ledlow also believed that and taught that, and I was a student of Dan Ledlow's in 1959 at BYU. Can you believe that? That's amazing. All right, but I just got to tell you that. So the east, it doesn't say East Sea there. So it means some point east. So when we talk, some people thought, well, they have to cross the isthmus, but it's 120 miles across. Could you cross that in a day or a day and a half? Go 120 miles? That's a misreading. You're not getting it. The true interpretation of that, as just take it for what it says. It says from some point. It says from the West Sea to the east. Not East Sea. And then it says again in Helaman from the east to the West Sea, but some point east, vice versa on that. But it goes, it says it twice, very clearly. Now what does that mean? Well, let's take a look at a little bit of a map here. As I flew over that area during the wet season here just 2 weeks ago and was able to look out of the plane and look down, when you get to that area, do you see where that blue is there, that blue dot? That blue dot covers the area of the flood that happened in 2007. The reason that it is not like that today, like the Okefenokee swamps or like the Florida Everglades, but Stevens and Catherwood in his book here has a map of the 1839, how it looked at that point in time. And I find that kind of fascinating. You're not going to be able to see it, but I can just show you that it is right here to here, across here. And this entire area is a wetland. It's a coastal plain, and it's a wetland, and they have dikes and things there now. And that's why, much like Nauvoo, Commerce, Illinois, we're going to drain all this wetlands area. So they've drained that and recaptured most of it. But when the floods came in at that time, it flooded 80% of the state of Tabasco, and it would have looked much more like that right there during the time of the Book of Mormon. So you didn't have to defend the entire peninsula or the entire isthmus. You didn't have to do that. Now, why do I say the Isthmus of Tehuantepec? Because there are only 3 isthmi that we talk about. The first isthmus is down at the very bottom down there, and that's the Isthmus of Darien or Panama. Then you come up to Nicaragua, and that's where you have the Isthmus of Rivas. That was going to be, by the way, the Panama Canal, but they feared that there'd be too many volcanoes, active volcanoes, so they were fearful of putting it there. And then up at the Isthmus of Tehuantepec was also another candidate for the Panama Canal. But now Joseph Smith identifies Zarahemla as being then in Guatemala. Well, also then we know the land of desolation is north. And you have to go, as Ether and others talk about, you have to go south from the land of desolation to get to the land of Zarahemla. Well, what isthmus is north of Zarahemla? There's only one isthmus north of Zarahemla. It's the Isthmus of Tehuantepec. So, and some people think, well, that's, if you look at it, it's more north than south. But what it says there, that's what, look at that red arrow. I don't know if you can see the red arrow on either side here. Maybe with my magic pointer I can hit it, right, kind of in there. From the West Sea to some point east. Now, there, if we had if you could see the terrain that would be through there, you would see that swampy kind of a water. You wouldn't have to defend that whole area. You could put your army. And this is a personal opinion now, but my personal opinion is that the day and a half's journey was probably a different point east than the day's journey. The one in Helaman would be different than the one. It wasn't like it's the same exact one. It could have been on a line, but they only had to defend from a certain point, and it might be the time of year they had to defend it. because it was certainly the wet season, you're going to get a lot more of the waters flooding, and there's all kinds of mangroves through there. I don't think people appreciate how really wet that would have been at that time. But I'm not suggesting that they had to cross the whole point either. I'm just saying that in order for an army to defend that, and you know, Joseph Allen talks about El Perdón, the Great Wall. It comes down through, it's right in that same area. We tried to put it close to where the arrow was. I don't know if that's even shining on the wall. Yeah, okay. I can't quite see where that is. But right in that area is a wall that extends out into the sea, and I think that's to keep an invading army from coming up on the shores and getting around on the other side. But it was called the Great Wall, El Paredón, and so that would be, that's certainly a possibility. But, and I want to go down and see if I can just find that myself, and just, not that I don't believe Joe, it's just I want to see it myself. But anyway, looking at that, that's why I say that the Isthmus of Tehuantepec is the only real candidate for, if you have Zarahemla identified by Joseph as being in Guatemala, north of Guatemala, where the land of desolation would be, there's only one isthmus up there. And that isthmus is the Isthmus of Tehuantepec.